Well, Ulises, some news that shocked and surprised the baseball world. Brewers prospect Jackson Chourio was given an $80+ million guaranteed contract, and he's yet to play a major league game. So it got us thinking, if we could give that type of money to a Rays rookie or prospect, who would it be?
There's one big name that people really liked on this. So let's talk about it right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and email us anytime. Always accepting mailbag questions, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Well, as we mentioned in the open, Jackson Chourio, who you may or may not have heard previously, has inked a big deal with the Milwaukee Brewers, and he's yet to play above Double-A. The 19-year-old signed basically an $80+ million contract, which also includes a couple team options. Ultimately, the deal could be worth a total value of $140 million over a full 10 years. First off, Ulises, had you heard of this individual prior to this news breaking?
Yeah, he gets the Venezuelan bump. So,
okay. So you knew.
So he's been a name that we've been kind of hoping he gets that kind of stuff, but or that kind of good fortune. And wow, that this was even more amazing than you could have ever hoped. I mean, you don't see a single pitch in the major leagues, and now you know my family is taken care of. My family's family is taken care of. Like that is such a cool moment for the Chourios. But yeah, really incredible because he's 19 years old. He's still a teenager, right?
Yeah, 19 years old. It's the longest and largest contract ever signed by a player with 0 major league service time, besting the 6-year, $50 million contract signed by White Sox outfielder Luis Robert in 2020. It's funny because I'm actually hearing and seeing not reports, but opinions out there that Jackson shouldn't have signed this deal, that he should have held out and waited until he had reps and years under his. It's like, it's at minimum $80 million, could be up to $140 million over 10 years. And by the time this deal is over, if he ends up being the superstar that the Brewers expect and hope he has an opportunity to earn another contract or multiple contracts at 28, 29 years old. So I would understand if it's like, the Brewers offered him a, $7 million guaranteed, but this is buku bucks. Like, think about how long it's going to take him, even if he's a Super 2, to start seeing those first couple millions.
Right. And then you really have to be a Juan Soto type player to get 30 mil in arbitration. Like you have to be the upper echelon. So I will never understand these people that just scoff at players trying to get their millions when they can. Have these people never heard of accidents? Anything can happen, bro. Anything can happen. An ACL going for a catch, or guess what? An ACL going down your stairs because your kid's toys were all splayed out on the staircase and then you fall. By the way, if you think that that's a ridiculous thing, that actually did happen. Okay. Yeah. I believe it was Derek Holland. Or
just not being as good as what people expect you to be, and you're still going to get paid regardless. You could be like, I don't know, Scott Kingery or Evan White or John Singleton, and you're still getting millions upon millions upon millions of dollars.
Exactly. Like even guys that were great for a season or two in the major leagues, and then they sign like a Chris Davis deal,
right?
You know, this and then they just go and disappear off the face of the earth. Like I just don't, I don't see how anybody in their right mind, unless they just want to be toxic on social media, which I think a lot of people find that as their day job.
That's their outlet. They get enjoyment out of that. And it's funny because we had heard the same thing with Wander Franco when he signed that mega deal after, very few major league reps. And it's like, oh my gosh, he could have gotten so much more if he had held out for till free agency, basically. And it's like, not everybody has the luxury or the want to do that, especially when a team is basically handing you $180 million guaranteed right off the bat, right off Jump Street.
You know what the funny thing about it is that I bet that all of those people that scoff at kids like Jackson and Wander and etc. to
and
sign them, be like, right, Ozzy Albies, and they scoff like, oh, you could have made so much more money. Brandon Lau, scoff. People who are doing that, I'm like, well, if you were in that position, I guarantee you that your eyes would bulge out of your sockets before you even sign, and you would say yes. You would say yes. It's monopoly money. Like that's why these people are so toxic against these players, is because they don't really fully understand what $82 million are. Like it's like this in the ether type of thing. Like when you're there and you're like, I take this pen and I have $82 million. How are you going to say no as a 19-year-old?
Right.
You don't.
Yeah. And not everybody has the luxury of, getting a contract like Shohei Ohtani. I mean, even the best players of all time, just based on when they got called up and the trajectory of their career, whether they had an injury setback or multiple injury setbacks, like we go back to it. Corey Kluber won 2 Cy Youngs and finished top 10 in another 2 seasons. And I don't think even over his career earnings that it'll reach or surpass what Chourio's essentially been handed to right now.
No. Jackson Chourio has already earned more money, guaranteed at least, than what Corey Kluber, a 2-time Cy Young winner. And it's really crazy to think about it like that. Like that's insane. And Corey Kluber is a great example of that. Of like, hey, maybe you should sign an extension, bro. Like maybe things happen. And you know what? When things happen, Kevin, you got to be prepared. And I think everybody that's watching the show knows that we like to be prepared, because there's not a more helpless feeling than when somebody that we know is missing something. And supply chain issues can keep you from having life-saving medication that you might need. But thankfully, everybody listening to this is going to be okay because of Jase Medical. The Jase case is a pack of 5, you heard me right, 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to any of us. So today, visit jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Again, go to jasemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, and you will get $20 off your order. Again, the promo code is LOCKED on, and you got to go to jasemedical.com.
Here's another name for you. Randy Arozarena, in his career, when it's all said and done, may not make as much money as Chourio has already been gifted, has already been guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah. His first big paycheck came this year at $4 million, and the other ones have been minimum. So you can say 700 the first year, so that's like 5 point change, and then another 500. So yeah, so let's say he's already earned 7 million, right? And then this year 9 million, 16 million. Next year, if he does well, which will be his last ARB year, that let's say 13. I mean, that's nothing, bro. That's 24. 34.
Yeah.
He's not even
you
there.
still have a long way to go. Yeah.
And he's going to be 31 or 32. So how much in a guy who's like fast and dynamic, how much are those legs going to be that spry?
Well, Evan Klosky, our buddy, even mentioned it. It's like it's starting to see a little bit of the wear and tear of Randy Arozarena, at least in the outfield, as it's concerned. So it's just something to think about and throw out there. And again, the pressures, I mean, I guess a little bit on Chourio. He's got money regardless now, but it's the Brewers to make sure that they don't make, or they haven't made a major mistake. And that's really where, I mean, we can look at Wander Franco and John Singleton and some others where you really have to do your due diligence if you're going to do this type of deal. Look at the person, look at the character, look at the work ethic, look at the propensity for off the field catastrophe, look at the injury risk. I mean, there's so much to take into account because again, this isn't like the Mets or the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers waiting money around. This is a, middle of the pack, low, smaller-ish market franchise that we're talking about in Milwaukee.
Yeah. So. And they're going for it. It's crazy, man. I feel like it's really cool that they're going for it. When you say they check the background, that you have to the work ethic. I mean, Jackson Chourio, I mean, he played, man. He played in the Venezuelan Winter League this year. He went out there and he did his thing. I mean, I think he was like batting it almost close to 400. I think 379 or something like that. So just an amazing young kid with a lot of talent, a lot of promise, but obviously, as good as you might want it to be, there is risk associated. Yeah. So that's why, because of the risk associated with it, with a very big risk that something could happen, this is just a no-brainer as the player to sign, get your first millions. As Evan Longoria once said from Eric Kinski, you never say no to your first millions.
Question. Would you give this deal, same exact deal, to any Rays rookie or prospect? And if not, who would you be most willing to stomach giving this type of deal to on the Rays?
I'm going to say the most popular answer, and that's Junior Caminero.
The chalk pick, Junior Caminero, if you've ever heard of him, based on what he's doing in the Dominican League right now. I mean, plugging out infield hits. He's hitting Oppo tacos. He's getting underneath balls. They look like they should be pop outs or can of corn fly outs, and they somehow go over the massive center field wall. It's amazing what he's putting together of late. And he's just turned, he's not even 20 and a half right now.
It's insane. It's insane. And those shots that he's doing in Lidom down there in the DR, dude, it's everywhere, like you said. It's oppo, it's center, it's pole. Like, this guy has so much pop. And in that frame, you really wouldn't think that frame could pack such a punch. You could say pack some punch, but the punch is real. He's doing whatever the heck he wants down there in the DR. Like, basically, I mean, I feel like what Junior Caminero is essentially doing is saying, Neander, cash,
Trady Suck Paredes.
I'm making that opening day lineup.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, like you're not gonna like it. I'm gonna be there because I'm making it so damn obvious that I have to be there that you're going to have to do it. I'm just gonna make the impossible decision for you to put me up there, even though you want me to start in AAA. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to start in the opening day lineup.
Oh. I'm your Gunnar Henderson.
I'm your guy. I'm your guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we know, we've seen the numbers of max exit velocity, average exit velocity. Like, he hits the ball as hard as just about anybody in baseball at just 20 years old, and an old 19-year-old last year. And I just go back to the episodes that we did with the proprietor of Just Baseball. Do we know who that is, Ulises? Our buddy Aram Layton, who just waxed poetic about Junior Caminero. And if Aram loves him, then I love him too. But no, I think Junior is obviously the obvious pick if we were going to give that type of money to a guy. I mean, he just seems like about the closest thing to Wander without being Wander in the Rays farm system. Now, I'll say this, and you mentioned he swings out of his shoes, but still has, really solid contact rates when it's all said and done. So he's in a class of his own. I'll, I guess, amend or flip the question or add to the question. Take Caminero off the table. Who would be the next guy that you give that type of contract to? Is it Carson Williams? Is it Xavier Isaac? Is it a pitching prospect?
I don't think I would go with...
Is it Curtis Mead?
I don't think I would go with Xavier Isaac, because at least with Jackson Chourio, he had at least a very light taste of AAA and a lot of AA time. So like I can't do that. Carson Williams is interesting.
And here's the other thing too about Xavier Isaac. As much as I think he could really be something special and enjoyable, maybe a poor man's Ryan Howard down the line, I don't know. I'm just throwing out comparisons here. He doesn't have any position. You're just betting on the bat. It's not like he's providing any speed, athleticism component. He's not providing really any defensive component. You're just betting on him to get you, 35 dingers a season. That's what it is.
You're betting on a very young player to do the hardest thing to do in all of sports.
Yeah.
So that's why I would take away from a type of player that is in his mold. Mm-hmm. With Carson Williams, I feel like the biggest thing with him is the glove. So I wouldn't put... The glove does not get you $82 million. The bat does.
Yeah.
So
now he has an impressive bat, but I think what's concerning, and let's remember too, I mean, the Rays bumped Carson Williams from A ball to AAA just like that, which is a pretty rare thing. But the strikeout rate is a tad concerning. Just if you have the wherewithal to look that up, that's something that would have to be harnessed to give that type of to lock up that type of money in a player.
I'd have to go with friend of the program, Curtis Mead. You've seen some of the good things in Major League Baseball. He does have positional flexibility, third, second, first. I know some people don't like his arm. I thought it was completely fine on third. I really do. Yeah. So if the throws are lobbed instead of like on a line, does it really matter if the out is made? I don't think so. And now it's an out. It doesn't need to be pretty. It doesn't need to be Nolan Arenado-esque. Is the out getting made? Is the play getting completed? So I would have to go with friend of the pod, Curtis Mead.
And I would say this.
And before you say that, let's not forget that this was a scenario that was playing out in spring training that came out with reports saying Curtis Mead and the Rays were in talks of such a contract. So
but I don't think this amount of money, maybe
no,
half or a third. Yeah. That's the thing. Like
the idea of locking him in guaranteed is already in their idea.
Yeah. Locking him up before he'd even made a major league plate appearance or any action. No, that is true and accurate. But I would say this, Caminero versus Curtis Mead. I think Caminero has the potential to be great, whereas I think Curtis Mead has the potential to be good to very good. I think the ceiling is much different between those two players.
I think so.
And I think that's where, you're going to get most people saying, yeah, if you're only going to give that type of money to one player, it has to be Caminero versus Curtis Mead. I would think Curtis Mead, and I have no idea what types of numbers that the Rays were footing out there, but I would be ballparking, like a Brandon Lau-esque deal, maybe a little bit richer than that. Again, I think Curtis Mead probably at his peak is 270, 280 hitter with, 18 to 20 bombs, where Caminero legitimately could be a perennial 30 homer dude that makes multiple all-star appearances, where Curtis Mead might make 1 or 2 in his entire career, where there's nothing wrong with that. But I just see the talent level and the complete package is, and the loud tool set just screams and emanates with Caminero versus Curtis Mead.
Yeah. But then again, that's why you can't say no to your first millions, because something can happen, and then that high ceiling turns into, oh, remember that guy? So
yeah.
I agree with you. I think the higher ceiling is with Junior Caminero, but I don't think anybody should bet against a guy that basically willed himself into a sport and now is going to be making basically Australian record books every time he does something at the plate, because he's the guy.
Yeah, he's not basically any professional baseball player from Australia is a pitcher, just like any NFL player or college football player that's from Australia is a kicker. It's basically the same thing. So very few position players. So he is a unicorn. He is a rarity. He is a change agent, if you will. Like he's creating a new frontier all by his lonesome. And what he did, it was basically a non-prospect when the Rays acquired him. And in talking to him multiple times, seeing his work ethic and how passionate he is about his craft and wanting to get better and improve, the journaling and just adjustments that are made year in and year out and month to month, season to season, level to level, and all that. Like I would absolutely not bet against Curtis Mead. I just think the natural talent leans more to Caminero, where a guy like that is more likely to have get the big buckaroos, if you will. But I'm looking here and saying Curtis Mead is going to have a decade-long career at least in the big leagues.
So he's your pick if you take Caminero out too?
Oh, I don't know if I want to give anybody that type of money, if not Caminero.
Okay, let's do a Robert.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, I guess Curtis Mead. But in that case, maybe I would go with Xavier Isaac. I don't know. It's tough. I'm very wishy-washy. To me, it's almost Caminero or bust. But yeah, I mean, I think Curtis Mead is going to be a solid player too. I'm just trying to think of, if I'm going to give that type of money, who's the guy that's going to make perennial all-star appearances or multiple all-star appearances? And it's hard to do that. It's hard to find that. We did put it out on social media. If you could give this type of coin to just one current Rays prospect or rookie, who would it be? As to be expected, many people chose Junior Caminero, and I'll just add some of the color here. Tyler Moore says, even with his defense question marks, easily Junior bat seems too legit not to lock up. John says Xavier Isaac, honorable mention Chandler Simpson. Interesting. I will note we had like 30 comments and like 27 of them were for Junior Caminero, so I'm not going to read all those. Brasso Bro says Mead. McShibby says none, and just give it to Josh Lowe and make him the face of the franchise. Was Josh Lowe a rookie this past year? Or did he exceed rookie eligibility?
He had exceeded his rookie eligibility in 2022.
But I get his point. I mean, it's kind of close-ish enough. I mean, if I had to answer and not really play by the rules per se, maybe I would give it to Josh Lowe. I'd give that type of money to Josh Lowe.
My man almost pulled a 2020 season in his first full year. Like, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Chris Snyder says, well, it's either Carson Williams or Caminero. I'm going with Caminero, but I'm probably wrong in the long term. Daydream Boys says, I'd say J-Lo, Josh Lowe, as he has the most promise. If it's happening today, Paredes not a rookie, but I get your point there. So yeah, lot of love for Junior Caminero.
Yeah, to be expected, right? I mean, he's the new it boy for the race, and everybody's excited about him, and we're excited about him. And you know what? He's excited about you hitting that like button right now, people. He's
There we
right
go. Yeah,
right there. He wants you to hit that like button.
Yeah, and you almost gave me a nightmare there, where like he's the new shiny toy. But Al Brujan at one point was the new shiny toy. So we also have to be prepared for the possible casualty of prospect hugging and what that could ultimately lead to.
Don't tell people about the dangers of prospect hugging. They never like to see it that way. They only see butterflies and flowers and all
all that good stuff for sure. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. Real quick, when it's all said and done, 15, 20, 25 years from now, who has a higher career wars, a Junior Caminero or Jackson Chourio?
Ooh. Dude, I don't know if you put $84 million in a 19-year-old if he's not going to be the next.
Yeah, you almost have to say by default it's got to be Jackson Chourio.
Yeah.
Wait till if the Rays lock up Caminero for 60, 65 million, then I'm probably going Caminero.
Exactly. There you go.
But yeah, let's if I had to guess and bank on it, I think both will probably have a pretty impressive careers. So something to monitor going forward there. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.